bid it out or contacted the 2 bidders. As I think you're aware, the other bid came back exactly the same, didn't make any changes, and did send a letter submitting what they thought in the best case scenario they would put into investment. The approval here did increase their offer price to go along with, again, obviously investment as was spoken of in the study session for additional money. So.
And it is $600,320. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So I have a motion by Mr. Hannah, part of Mr. Sellers to approve. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries. Next tonight is the motion to approve purchase and sale for 1333 Telegraph Road, approximately 14.16 acres of vacant land by and between Taylor Sports Plex Events and Community Center LLC and City of Taylor. Motion to approve.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Stapleton.
I have been opposed to this project for quite a few reasons, both on the council and also on the TIFA board. I just hate to see the Sports Plex, which has never been one of my favorite buildings, but it has been an asset to the city and leaving us with a $9 million debt to pay. I think the developer has some great plans here with the proposed hotel and restaurants, but at the same time, I don't see anything that, if our development department is working properly, that they could not be working on to bring those same businesses into the city. So I will be voting no on this project.
Mayor Lamarand, what was the consensus of the TIFA board regarding this? If I recall, they all agreed, or the majority believed that it had a problem.
I believe the 6-2 vote on the TIFA chair is 3-0 vote to leave on the building authority. Again, with this project, it's a great opportunity, and I understand the councilman's concerns that were expressed as well during the TIFA meetings. Again, for folks out there listening, there is $14 million of existing debt related to the Sports Plex and probably acquisition of some of the land that we're talking about, and the land, to the south has been sitting vacant and untouched for 12 years roughly going on now. It does have challenges, as I think we stated the last time we discussed this option. This is a different purchase offer, and while the price is lower, this is not financing contingent, as was discussed. There's a timeline on the 14 acres, which allows the city to revert back to it from the development and retail commercial type space. Does not have any type of development type incentives, taxing incentives to try to entice businesses. So when this was originally being talked about, this is kind of why we came up with, we'll give the option. We want the short-term development project for tax-based growth and with the opportunity, again, for both that and job creation. And that would be the short-term, no payment on the property would be a short-term tax incentive to somebody out there interested. So looking at that, somebody taking over the Sports Plex, which we know is challenging, is going to be a challenge in itself for financial reasons, and obviously Mr. Dobek and his team over there have done an excellent job not having the overhead that companies that we've had running the business in the past have managed or have taken out of the books from what we can gather. It's just an opportunity. We as a city don't lose the Sports Plex as a landmark, which people know. Certainly, obviously, the business is taking it over, and the business can decide to do what it wants to do with property from that aspect. But I think the full intention of the developer is to keep the Sports Plex as it is, try to bring additional type sporting activities, market it to a wider range through, again, what they would do in their processes as a private business, and the hotel, as well as the air supported structure that's being proposed, bring more traffic flow into and around that area as well, which only lead to additional development potentially in some of the other vacant parcels in and around that area. So it's a great opportunity, I think, for us to take $5.4 million, pay down some of that $14 million debt, start collecting taxes on that property, and use that tax revenue to actually make the debt payments related to the $14 million bond debt, which we won't get if we sustain it. We have to anticipate somebody else's tax base is going to grow and help us pay off our own asset if we maintain it. So it becomes, to me, it kind of becomes the ultimate definition of tax increment financing. We finance it, we put a project in Taylor that seemed like a great opportunity at the time. We have a good opportunity to get it into the tax rolls and get it into the private industry and still maintain that asset so we don't lose it. Coupled with, again, obviously the idea that there's development next to it on some property that's pretty much been sitting vacant since the city took it over and took out some residences or whatever, other type of businesses that were there and moved them for long-term gain. So I hope, I'm hopeful that the council, fully, considers this or would support doing this and give the developer an opportunity to kind of do that and keep both the benefit to the city with the tax base that comes along with it. And it's all tip capture, so it's not general funds. We know that, so it's not tax base is just coming in and offsetting general fund, but that's tip capture that the development department that the councilman was speaking of, when he's out there trying to get different properties that the city still has developed, we have challenges that we need. We could use some of these tip dollars back towards putting into other infrastructure needs through the city to help entice some development in other areas of the city that are within separate tip district ranges.
It's my understanding that it sounds like for the most part, for the last maybe 15 years, we've contracted out someone else managing the sports plex, and it hasn't been very successful. For one reason or another, it doesn't seem to give us anything. They run it, and a lot of the equipment was not well maintained, and that was costly to fix and keep up and get back in shape so that we had to take it over at this point. But that also happened previous to this administration. We were having a lot of difficulty right when we came in. I understand we had a problem with the previous management company. And I think there was one before that too. So
reminder for everyone as well, when this was originally open, we actually were paying a company to manage it.
right.
And then they were supposed to, pay us revenues, and we kept paying, and we're not getting any positive cash flow back. Previous contracts then changed, and it became someone that was willing to take it over for a lease payment, and then they would manage it, take all the revenue proceeds, and then that changed. If any of us here recall, the contract had to change because that company at that point said they couldn't make both their payments and make any money to exist. So it again changed, and then we're back out and in the process again, and that wasn't panning out too based on the termination of the last purchase agreement offer. So at this point in time, we do see, again through the team that's there, and these are not full, employees. I guess they much like what we've done over with golf and the enterprise fund operating, benefit-wise, things are different. They're not, the same kind of employee base. They pay a lot more into their healthcare costs than they had in a year to that effect, and most of this, just be run through part-time employee structure. So, because again, it's for the most part for us, it's seasonal. It's going to take marketing dollars, and right now that revenue stream isn't into driving both marketing different events to get that thing filled in the summer, and then the cooling system's tied to the ice and everything else to be able to run. And right now we're taking the ice down here this month and a half in the summer. So there's challenges. Other things that weren't here since the $6 million, that was original price and where we're at. There's a lot of maintenance that is in desperate need on this building. All the exterior doors, I believe at this point, I think the bill is $40,000, $46,000 related to all the exterior doors, which are rotting at the bottom, need to be dealt with because again, that weather doesn't go good for a building that you're trying to keep temperature controlled. So those are things again as the building ages, we so.
Well, I'm just, Mr. Dobek, I can tell is wanting to address this, and of course, he's had to take on a lot of extra responsibilities, being health Parks and Rec, and this has fallen in his lap, so to speak, because of not being able to work with the previous renter.
I just want to note for the record, we had an asset evaluation done in the jail case on our ice fund. And, it was told that even though it's 13 years old, it's more like 33 years old because of the lapse of maintenance. So we're on borrowed time. Yeah, we've done $6,000 oil changes, but we're facing these pumps, these compressors, these recip compressors to be rebuilt. I think there's a number of $285,000, $325,000 out there. And should we retain it and operate it, we're exposed to that. And, I will have to come back to TIF on review and get approval for those monies to operate that building and fulfill the contracts that we're currently writing for Belfair hockey, rush soccer, the tenants of the building that pay those expenses. So I'm just letting you know, should the subsoil system be shot and the pipes on the floor be shot, that's $500,000 a hockey floor. So that's a $2 million. And we do have an independent study by Simcoe people who did actually build the ice plant and the ice arena. This is not the numbers that I've come up with.